Excuse me, may I come in?
आइए. बैठिए. So Avinash, do you speak English or Hindi?
Yes, ma'am. I speak English.
English.
Yes.
Okay. Where are you coming from?
Ma'am, I'm from Karnataka, Davangere. It's a town
Davangere.
in Karnataka.
And you've studied in Karnataka only?
Yes, ma'am. I did my graduation in Bangalore.
Okay. And you are doing law or you've done the law?
I finished law in the 2020.
Okay. So that was in the year 2020.
Yes.
And the last 2 years, what were you doing?
After graduation in September 2020, I wrote the civil service main exam in 2021. So I've
Okay.
been preparing for the exam.
Oh, did you get in or you did not?
This is
Last
the first
year?
attempt.
Okay, this is the first.
This is
Okay. So tell me, how many bones are in the human body? Total number of bones.
I cannot
You
recollect,
don't
but
remember.
may I
Doesn't matter.
guess?
So
Can I
you
take
want
a
to
guess?
guess? Okay, guess.
604.
600. Okay. So okay, we'll forget that. You've done statistics, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I used to read, I don't know how correct it is, statistics, more statistics and lies.
Yes.
You must have heard that.
Yes, ma'am.
So what does it mean?
Statistics, you can be very selective while displaying statistics, and it is said that almost any point can be proved by just selecting the statistics that you choose. And with regard to sample size, and someone who is not aware of statistics, it's very easy to present the wrong picture.
We can be fooled also.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Tell me, you've heard of welfare economics.
Yes.
So what is it about welfare economics?
It's a branch of economics that deals with achieving welfare goals, such as education, health, in developing economies. It is a significant part of macroeconomics as how to achieve a higher standard of living for the people.
Yeah. So do we follow welfare economics? India?
Yes, ma'am.
We do.
Constitutionally, we are obliged to follow welfare economics. Our preamble, including the directive principles, mandate the government to ensure a certain basic degree of welfare to the people.
So tell me, why is there so much diversity in the social network? Some people are exceedingly poor, some middle, some too rich. Why is it so when we are following welfare and all that?
Ma'am, the mixed model of economy that we have followed allows for certain people to leverage their skills and accumulate wealth. In a capitalistic economy, that is natural that some degree of inequality exists. However, the extreme degree of inequality could be due to failure of certain policies, such as regressive tax structure or lack of education, or even regional imbalance.
That makes the difference.
Yes.
What is agrarian reform? Agrarian reform.
Agrarian reforms are reforms in the agriculture sector, such as land ownership, cropping patterns. These reforms, when guided by the state, are known as agrarian reform. One example is the 1969 shift to green revolution. And other example, legal and legislative reforms, such as model tenancy, zamindari abolition. In fact, very recently, farm laws were also reformed. These are examples of some agrarian reform.
Have they done consolidation of holdings? By all these reforms, have they consolidated or made it worse?
As per the latest agricultural census, the average land holding in India is 1.0 hectares, which is very small. This is because of these reforms. I think India's land ownership has become very fragmented, which is impacting our food production and productivity.
It has created problems also.
Yes.
But can't they consolidate it? Can't one whole family or two families get together, have one holding?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible?
Yes, ma'am. Various ways I think in which that can be done is creating a farmer producer company, FPO, a family can own, cooperatives, making a village level cooperatives where the land are pooled. These are some tools that can be used, and we can promote land consolidation, and that will definitely give efficiency of scale.
Yeah.
To the
and better product. It will
products.
give a good produce.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe in
you
terms
want
of
to
buying.
say something?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, Avinash.
Good afternoon, sir.
So I see you like writing on social issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you aware about freebies?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me how freebies are helping the society as well as damaging the society.
So firstly, PBs, I'll begin with how they're helping the society. Firstly, they promote welfare in the terms of a mixer or a washing machine will ensure less burden for women. So targeted freebies that ensure benefits definitely benefit the targeted section. However, they also have negative aspects. Could be political patronage, abuse of public resources, and there could be a sense of inequality because the qualification for freebies are usually open-ended. So there is leakage in these welfare measures that even the rich sometimes tend to use it.
So tell me how environmental laws and development can go hand in hand.
So I think the policy of sustainable development is aimed at balancing both the priorities. One example is the coastal regulation zone or the regulation within the Western Ghats, where certain areas are demarcated. Then secondly, we leverage certain points of intersection, such as ecotourism. We make resorts that ensure that create this environmental welfare as an asset to the local population. These are some examples I think.
So if you were to construct a road through ecological area, what would you do?
So firstly, I would map the biodiversity so that habitat fragmentation does not happen. Lakes and various water bodies that are watering holes for these animals are not excluded. Secondly, I will ensure that if it is through an ecologically sensitive area, timings are fixed and corridors for the movement of wildlife is created. These are two priorities I will have.
Can you briefly do SWOT analysis of Indian economy?
Our strength is our demographics, an average age of 29. It's a great opportunity. Our weakness is inequality, lack of education. It can create this demographic into a disaster. Our opportunities are current geopolitics where the supply chains are shifting and India can be one of the greatest advantage. Our threat is the security implications of having two hostile neighbors that could also derail our development.
And can you also highlight the impact of Russia-Ukraine war on BRICS?
So the BRICS that involves Brazil, Russia, India, and China. When the war has created a sense of geopolitical divide, where India is forced to choose one of the groupings. As we're already members of Quad and other regional security groupings, but there's not a safe environment for BRICS to continue, in the sense that the war in the Ukraine can derail talks. Secondly, our continued presence in the BRICS might be seen as threat by Quad partners who might want us to less engage with Russia and China.
Okay, so are you aware about CUET? Common University Entrance Test?
Yes, sir.
I would like to know your opinion about it, and can you highlight certain merits and demerits of the same?
I am in favor of this test. I'll begin with the demerits. It proliferates coaching section. It ensures people's attention are taken away from board exams. It could promote inequality with people who have access to these resources. However, the merits are that the central universities per se, people from across the nation apply, and evaluation standards across the nation are completely different. So therefore, a common test is required so that a sense of equality is maintained.
Okay. So Avinash, tell me why you wish to join civil services.
So I think it's a part of my value system. My first priority is the foreign service, and while in university, I was exposed to some excellent diplomats. I interned in the Ministry of External Affairs, and after this experience, I believe that is the career in which I see myself serving this country.
Okay. So let's say if you are made in foreign ambassador of any country, and you are visiting the country, and which three things would you like to promote about India?
So firstly, the diversity. Many people are not aware that we have long Himalayas with beautiful mountain tops, and we also have Goa and other beaches which are beautiful. This is the tourism aspect. Second is the languages. In terms of exchange, we have diversity of language, regional languages that people are not aware. Thirdly is the economic opportunities, bringing in investments, ensuring that Indian investments are there where profit can be made, and promoting these business development.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Avinash, you are a law graduate.
Yes, sir.
So, how do you think your legal knowledge will help you in the administrative services?
So firstly, the country is expected to be run based on the laws, and we see that many administrative decisions are challenged in courts. So a legal knowledge will definitely help in having my decisions being based on sound legal policies. Secondly, rather than the law, what we learn in law school is that critical thinking, the ability to hold multiple truths, the ability to argue, make arguments based on multiple people. And I think that gives a different perspective, a different lens, which is definitely helpful for an administrator.
A lot is being discussed about judicial reforms. Now, how in your view, other than filling up of vacancies, that is a standard, you remove that part, what are the other areas by which we can hasten and expedite the disposal of cases?
So I think within the existing constitution, there are certain provisions that are not used. One is appointment of ad hoc judges, appointment of retired judges, appointment of high court judges temporarily to the Supreme Court. There are these provisions that are lying as dead letter. I think if certain vacancies cross certain threshold, these provisions should be activated, and therefore they must be used. Secondly, the infrastructure is clearly lacking, and thankfully during COVID we saw a hybrid system working very well. We should leverage this hybrid system to ensure technical expertise is brought and the evidences are taken on record faster and a quicker decision making process is created.
Do you think there could be more delegated legislation instead of the judiciary holding every aspect of law? If it could be delegated and the administration can look into some legislations, can you think of that?
So I think in the sense of reviewing the legislations, I think this is where a parliament can come in. Committees of parliamentarians, they have the democratic backing. A special committee that takes into records of expert members and gives advisory opinion on legislations can also reduce litigations post the implementation of legislations.
No, I'm not talking of that. I'm talking of the powers, judicial powers being given to the administrators.
The tribunals, in the sense.
Tribunals is one way. There could be many more. The law is made in such a manner that instead of the matter being taken to the judiciary, it is taken to the administrative. You have so many laws.
Yes.
You have executive magistrate powers. You have all the powers vested in, in so many cases, elections.
So, one issue I see with doing that is over 40% of the cases, the litigant is the government itself. Therefore, if we have to give these judicial or arbitrating powers to administrators, we have to ensure they are independent of the government. We have to, judiciary is one way where we ensure that independence. If somehow we can replicate a similar level of independence to these arbitrators or administrative arbitrators, I think that can be a way to reduce.
PM has also suggested some way to reduce, the pendency in the courts. Can you recall something that just about a week ago?
So, if I'm right, is it with regard to mediation and ADR?
No, not that. Minor offences?
So,
do away with the minor offences.
Yes. So, Indian legislation does face the problem of over-criminalization, where every small act has been criminalized. It just pulls on the cases. By exhaustively reviewing our laws and ensuring these minor criminalization of minor offences are removed, and we allow them for be settled or compounded, that way I think we can reduce much of the risk.
Okay, my last question, Avinash. South China Sea has of late become very important for India. So, like you mentioned about India's geographical location with two hostile nations, how do you think India is placed, in South China Sea with the nations adjoining South China Sea? Which are the hostile nations? Which are the ones other than China? And which are the ones who would stand in favor of India? Can you just take up few nations and discuss our relations with them?
So I would begin with Vietnam. We have excellent trade and security partnerships with Vietnam. Recently, we also enter into agreement for sale of certain weapons. Also with Philippines, we are also discussing export of BrahMos missiles. We are also aiding their rescue operations in many areas, the rescue of fishermen. With Indonesia also, when recently the submarine sank, we did a partnership. These are three prominent nations in that area, and we have been engaging with them. We are also leveraging our partnerships such as Quad to ensure greater resource mobilization for that region, so that China's aggressive behavior is at least contained.
Good. Shatari.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Avinash, IFS is your first choice.
Yes.
So, shall India resume its cricketing ties with Pakistan?
I think India should, because sports is one way where we can reach out to the people of Pakistan. We have seen recently how the hybrid regime in Pakistan plays out and its implications with our security. But however, there has been a complete snappage of ties with the people, and cricket could be one means through which at least some semblance of diplomacy can be conducted.
Okay, good. Shall India join One Belt, One Road project?
So I think India should not, as long as our concerns with regard to CPEC, which passes through Pakistan occupied Kashmir, is addressed, because it's a sovereign part of India. If we were to agree to the schemes as proposed by China, it will be.
So suppose that issue is resolved somewhat, and then?
So then I think we must join the One Belt One Road, because it promises investments. It promises, and being in the situation we are, to have at least 9% growth, we need 36% investment in the GDP, and Chinese have surplus funds. I think we can tap into that to ensure.
So the only roadblock is that POK
Yes.
part.
Yes.
Okay, very good. You write on current issues related to society, and you also play. So can you tell me, being from Karnataka and Bombay both, if I have to ask, what are the burning issues of Karnataka right now?
So because of the pandemic, there has been significant loss of employment, especially in Karnataka areas that relied on tourism. You look at the Malnad belt, that is one.
But that is across the country, across the world.
So another issue I can think of in Karnataka is there has been communal polarization. We see that recent riots in Shimoga district, where two people died, and similarly in the South Canara belt, certain riots are being happening. And I think for that we need confidence building measures. We need.
Karnataka was not known. Why suddenly it has erupted and continuously going on something one day after another?
So Karnataka on itself is an extremely tolerant and plural society. However, certain decisions of the government, such as banning hijab or using a law to ban the Muslim or minority traders.
Was it a government ban, or it was a particular school ban and then the court intervened?
It was an executive order of the government that banned hijab across all schools, across the state. In all school-run, state-run schools, it has been banned.
Okay. Okay. So now you tell me, as a student of law, is it high time that we should think and implement UCC, Uniform Civil Code?
So the Supreme Court has very often asked the government to do so, but I believe there is a way in implementing it, and we are in fact doing it. For example, we've got the Juvenile Justice Act 2016 that created a uniform code for adoption across the country. Similarly, the banning of triple talaq ensured that the divorce laws at least are same for various communities. I think a gradual way of achieving.
If there is any state where it has already been implemented successfully?
Yes, sir. It is in operation in Goa since
Any other state which is planning recently, and they have set a committee also for that?
I'm not aware.
Okay. There is some problem going on in criminal justice system. So what ails the criminal justice system in India?
So I think it's incarceration of under trials, absence of legal aid to the under trials, and there is a sense of inequality in access to courts. I think these three are.
So there is a legislation recently passed by Indian Parliament related to that. Are you aware?
Is it the identification of criminal
Yes.
act? Yes.
So what are the criticism that some critique are not very happy with that law?
So the criticism is it sets a very low threshold for collection of information. For example, even for a traffic offense, one's iris scans, one fingerprint scans, and various other personal data can be collected. So I think this is one criticism that's being pointed out.
So it is the misuse of that personal data which is the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my last question is collegium system. Often it has been, in limelight for various reasons. What is your stake that judges appointing themselves? Is it a good idea?
So it is not. I think the system is due for reforms. The system was established based on certain backgrounds. We saw an emergency and how the judiciary was not able to stand as the guardian of the constitution. But however, the times have changed. However, it does not mean that executive should take over the appointment of.
But Chief Justice of India only day before yesterday said that it is the perfect system. There is nothing wrong in that one. So entire judicial fraternity are not ready.
Yes.
So then how would we move forward?
One way of moving forward is addressing the concerns with the NJAC that was made in 2016. Judiciary rightly pointed out that the appointment of persons in the board was left extremely vague, such as eminent persons. And if these concerns in the judgment are exhaustively mentioned, are addressed, it is possible to create an independent institution to appoint judges.
Oh, very good. Thank you.